When I started my first service bureau, I went direct to the software and it was fine. I made money. But then as you start growing, there's things that all of a sudden you need. I thought I was smart by going direct to them and negotiating that. That was my responsibility. And guess what I had to do? Customer calls my cell phone, I pick it up. I had to call up the tech support line and three-way them in because they would only speak to me. That was a major drawback. That's when I made the decision back then to go to a bigger service bureau that could offer me the deal that I wanted, which included tech support and not really caring what bank was used. My money didn't change, so I didn't have to worry about those little things.
Welcome to the Service Bureau Accelerator podcast, where we help tax professionals start and scale a successful service bureau.
Welcome to episode number 2 of the Service Bureau Accelerator podcast. My name is Baldeep. I have with me Ross, or as known by the many ladies in the group, Uncle Ross, Daddy Ross. We got Tia, the tax goddess community liaison for the Service Bureau Accelerator. And today's topic, which if you watch the first episode, may veer off into other conversations, but today's topic is getting the best service bureau deal and why not to go direct. So why don't we just start off? Ross, you got a thought of how you want to start off? Why don't you kind of bridge that gap and we'll dive in?
What is direct? I guess
Exactly. Let me unpack it first. So going direct with the software companies, right? So if you're currently using tax software, if you were to want to start a service bureau, there's a couple options out there for you. Obviously, one of them is to just go direct to the software companies and get a service bureau set up through them. And so that's what we're going to kind of really dive into in this episode is, how can you get the best deal out there and why maybe it's not the best idea to actually go direct to the software. So the reason why a lot of people feel like they should just go direct to the softwares, and a lot of people think about this like when they're on our webinars or we're talking to them in chat and stuff. Another people think like, well, why would someone join my software versus like just going direct to the software? Because everyone feels like, hey, if I'm going direct to the software creators, right? If I'm going direct to the software company, that's the best deal out there, right? Like that is how I get everything, making sure I'm legit. I've got correct deal. I'm an actual service bureau and I'm going to get everything that I need to be a service bureau. And so it's understandable, right? It's like, hey, if I want to become a service bureau for, TaxSlayer or Crosslink or whatever, then I'm just going to go to that company and I'm just going to get a service bureau directly through them. However, those are not always the best deals. And that's what we're going to break down in this episode is how do the deal structures actually work? What do you typically get if you go direct to the software company? And what other options are available to you if you were to actually just go through another service bureau to start your service bureau? Namely, obviously, our program. We've got some pretty sweet deals, and we'll get into that in this episode.
Yeah, and we'll talk. I don't want to mention other service bureaus' names, but I'll give you examples of like, there's a big one that does this. Maybe good for you.
Yeah.
Probably not, because we're better. But anyway, let's dive into the direct relationship, right? Because I think a lot of people think that, oh, I don't want any middlemen, like kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah, the middleman as well. I want to be straight up where it's like the software and then me.
And everyone thinks that may be the best way to go, but realistically, especially in our scenarios, it's right. Like when I started my first service bureau back in 2015, 2016, when it was, that's what I did. I went direct to the software, right? And it was fine. I made money. I negotiated a good deal. I think it was one of the best deals. Somebody that had no history, quote unquote, was able to negotiate. And it was cool in the beginning, but then as you start growing, there's things that all of a sudden you need. A couple of main ones. When you're direct, when the customers, EROs or their preparers called up the software gave them my cell phone number. Like, I don't want to deal with Tia's fucking preparer. Like, I don't know who they are, right? Number 2, I don't know how the damn software works. I'm a software seller. I don't do taxes. That is not my job. I don't know how it works, right? But because I was the service bureau and I thought I was smart by going direct to them and negotiating that was my responsibility. And guess what I had to do? Customer calls my cell phone. I pick it up. I'm sitting there like, I have no idea. I had to call up the tech support line and three-way them in because they would only speak to me. So annoying. That was a major drawback. And then the third one, I'm not going to get into too many details, but essentially when you're direct, you have to, and say you offer like TPG, Refund Advantage, you have these bank options out there, you get incentives based on volume. And I had a lot of customers on TPG, for example, but if I had a customer that came and wanted to use Refund Advantage, I would get no fucking money from that because I didn't have enough volume with Refund Advantage to even get any money. You know what I mean? So as a service bureau, there's volume tiers involved, and these are significant tiers. It's not like 100. Yeah, you can get a little thing. You get really nothing as a service bureau on 100. You need volume. And if you have 5,000 products on TPG, you're going to get extra money, right? But if one customer comes and they have 400 products and they want to use Refund Advantage, now all of a sudden your economics changed because you made no money off that customer on the bank side. So basically, that's when I made the decision back then. It was a couple of years after, to go to a bigger service bureau that could offer me the deal that I wanted, which included tech support and not really caring what bank was used, because if they wanted to use TPG or Refund Advantage, my money didn't change. So I didn't have to worry about those little things. And to this day, we still have two of those relationships, or one of those relationships now. And we have a lot of volume. So I think a lot of people think that, oh, it's better, but you're playing yourself on just those two aspects right there. We'll get into another one, but Ross, go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to dive in real quick just for some of the terminology that we're going to be throwing around a lot on this podcast. Some of the things you mentioned before was like products and volume. We talked about it on the first episode a little bit, just on where you really generate revenue as a service bureau is on the bank products. So whenever, an ERO who's using your software, if they're working with their tax customers and someone's using a bank product to pay out of their refund or get a cash advance, whatever it may be, that is where you as a service bureau have additional fees that you can add on. And that's where you make a large chunk of the revenue. And so the volume is basically the accumulation of how many bank products get funded through everyone using your software, right? You may have 10 offices or, 100 preparers, whatever it may be. The total accumulation of bank products that are getting funded, that's where as a service bureau, you can potentially get, like, you get some little volume incentives where it's like, hey, when you do 1,000 bank products, you're going to get a little extra kickback. Well, not everyone gets this, but this is the deals that you should get. And a lot of times if you are direct with the softwares, they may not give you those kickbacks because you didn't know to negotiate for those. So they have no kickback or like rebate incentives that are available to you. Again, it's all depends on the deal point, but a lot of times you may not even have that because you didn't know to ask for it. Whereas if you go with a service bureau, they may have those standard. Like we do that standard for everyone that's on our program. We give you standard rebates so that as you're growing your service bureau, you're actually getting more dollars per product getting kicked back to you. And so that's where those little volume tiers are.
And to piggyback from Ross, we do use bank products and service bureau fee. They're all the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And what Baldy was mentioning earlier with, the difference between TPG or Refund Advantage, they were like different pools and you got money for one and none for the other. That's where, again, depending on the deal, where Baldy found it was more advantageous for him to go and work with a service bureau because they're like, yeah, we don't care. We already have massive volume. We're getting these deals anyways. And we're just going to share that with you, whether it's Refund Advantage or TPG. It didn't matter what service bank those products are going through. It all goes into the same bucket.
So I didn't have to worry about that. Go ahead, Tia. You're smiling. You want to say something?
No, because I like to be messy. And also because I've seen and experienced it myself where there are people who think that they're going software direct and you're really just going to another service bureau that's just so large that you think that they are software direct.
Yeah, some people think that with like, should I say the name?
No.
No.
We're going to keep the names. I use them as an example earlier.
No. I'm not talking about the software. Like, well, there's one service bureau that everyone always thinks that they're a direct software. I'm like, no, that's Crosslink. Like, it's not. Well, whatever.
Yeah. You know how? Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
So, like, no,
exactly.
But that's fine. They're big enough that they command, like, and don't get me wrong, they provide a lot of value. They have extra technology that they built to help their clients. So, no, they're great. Like, I have nothing negative to say except that I think we have a better deal. Neither here nor there.
So another topic when it comes to going direct with the software, let's talk about licensing fees, because that's another huge one. So licensing fees, again, I'll do the breakdown,
the definition,
and then and then you guys can dive into it. The license fees is basically whenever you sell your software to someone, right? So say you go to a software company, you become a service bureau. Typically in the deal, they're going to give you an allotment of licenses. Like, hey, you pay this much to become a service bureau, and we're going to give you 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, licenses. So those are individual licenses that you can sell to an ERO. So every ERO you set up, they're going to use one of those licenses. At a certain point, if you use all those licenses, now you have to pay additional fee for every license that you want to continue selling, right? And obviously, you're going to want to continue selling and setting people up. Now, those license fees, again, it's going to vary. It depends on which company you're working with, but say it's anywhere from, let's just say $300 to $500 per license. That means that if you go out and sell another 10 people, that's $3,000 to $5,000 that you're going to have to pay in those license fees. So that's money now coming out of your pocket, and that also means that you now have to mark up your software package and sell it for a price target beyond that license fee. Otherwise, you're just losing money, and that doesn't make sense, obviously, as a business. So those are license fees. And depending on your deal, again, you can have a lot of hefty license fees that can be a massive expense to your service bureau if you're going direct with a software provider.
Go ahead, Tia.
And again, the license fees give you access to the software.
Whoa.
So if you have 15 licenses and you have 3 tax offices, you have to subtract that from your total, and whatever's remaining is what you can sell. So it gets even pricier if you think about including your own offices within that cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the license, I mean, we could go into a couple of different like scenarios or examples. Like what I'll do is there's one that comes to mind that's not a software we provide, but somebody brought a deal to me saying, hey, is this a good software deal? It was for like a service bureau deal. So immediately when I looked at it, I looked at the pricing. It's like the total was 75,000, right? And it included, I think, I want to say 100 licenses, whatever. But then there was a couple of little caveats. One of them was, each license can only have 10 users, which means that if you sell it to somebody and you show them like our preparer development strategy and they go have 100 preparers, now what do you do? Right? Because you can only have
that's 10
no,
licenses.
100 licenses, but 10
10
users per
users.
license. So now you need 10
exactly.
licenses.
So you have to
right?
10 licenses because it's 10
And
users
then
each.
on top of that, the technology transmission fee was, this was direct from the software, it was like $50 something. And I'm like, but their default is this, but they're saying, you can get this extra money. They're basically baking in the add-on to your contract. I'm like, you didn't even negotiate an incentive. There's no fucking money here besides what's that markup, because the default's this. So they're just giving you that. So what? Then, afterwards, that person went back to that other person and was like, we could give you more money. I'm like, well, they should have given it to you to begin with. Right? Not because you said, it's a shitty deal, because I reviewed it and it's a fucking garbage deal. Right? But another example, it's like, I'll give you just comparing, going like, say, direct to Slayer versus coming to us and getting it, right? In a direct relationship with them, you'd be looking at something like $1,500 for the branding annually. You'll be looking at a per license fee of their $1,200-$1,300 for like the first 5. And then everything additional after that, it's going to be probably anywhere from like, say, $500 to $700, right? Depending on what you negotiate. So you're still paying per license. Whereas on a deal with us, our technology transmission fee is already cheaper than what you would get if you went direct, right? So if you're direct, it's 24. With us, it's 21. If you're direct, there's an admin fee when you do an add-on. So if you do an add-on, they charge an extra $2. That doesn't exist in our ecosystem on that software. And 2 of our softwares, it doesn't exist, right? And then you're not capped on licenses, right? So you can go and sell 100 people and keep all that money yourself. You don't pay it to us, right? We don't collect that money. The way we look at it is that's your money. You're the service bureau. You go make that money. Yeah, we'll make money other places and we'll tell you where that is, right? We make money on the volume just like everybody else, but we don't mark it up to make that money. Well, we have other things down the road. You may want to purchase extra stuff from us and we'll upsell you things down the road. Sure, but you're never forced to, right? So it's just like things like that. People, when they go direct, they think they're getting the best deal, but they're really just playing themselves because now they have to charge more when there's somebody in our group who literally just sold somebody from a software that we provide to another software we provide because they're paying about $120,000 a year for their service bureau license for 200 offices or whatever it was. Well, okay, switch their software. They don't have to pay. Now they're in a position where they can get that volume. That service bureau is happy because guess what? They just saved $120,000. Right?
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is I want to make sure that our people have the best deal, but then the people in the Service Bureau Accelerator are in a position to give the industry the best deal out there. right? And we
Yeah.
help you guys structure those kinds of things. But yeah, those are things to definitely keep in mind when, going direct. You end up having to, play by that. Unless you have the volume to warrant it, you're not going to negotiate that, you know? So let
Yeah.
us negotiate it for
And that's
you, and then you take advantage of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, let's not, gloss over the fact that there is heavy negotiations that are always going on the back end every year within the Service Bureau Accelerator team. Like,
Mhm.
I don't do it, but I bet you
Paul
guys do.
he's always working in the back
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. So I think people may wonder, typically, and this is how it traditionally works. It's kind of like wholesale resale. You go and you get something wholesale because it's direct, and then you resell it for more. In
Yeah.
our case, we go and we get it for cheaper than what you would get. So in essence, we kind of have that wholesale deal that we can go out and give it to you guys at, a cheaper rate. And that's because
Yeah.
of the heavy negotiation that are going on the back end with, both Deepa Ross and, the other Salesforce team.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of
Yeah.
it comes down to relationships and knowing what to ask and, being actually having volume. Like there's people that
Yeah.
think that they can go get our deal with fucking 1,000 bank products. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like we'll make sure, like the people that join our community, we make sure you get a better. There's people. I was going to go off on a little tangent. There's people that we've brought over from other
Go.
service bureaus and gave them that were maybe with the same companies we work with on the back end. And we gave their customers a better deal than they had, than their previous provider had. Like bar none, like there's people, I think that there's a lot of people that come to our group, get their service bureau deal from us, and their prior provider does not even have a good a deal. Right. So off the bat, people are coming to us getting a better
Yeah.
deal than they would get from anywhere else, I feel. And come here, stand by.
Especially software direct.
Definitely software direct.
Definitely.
Even
other
other
service
bureaus,
bureaus too.
like I've seen the deals out there. Like I know our standard deal is better than the deal that some of their service bureaus, their old prior service bureaus have.
Yeah. And to add on to that as well, I actually want to address something that comes up a lot. And this is like, especially on our webinars, even on like the sales calls, when people look at our program, it's too good to be true. And that's where it just comes in, where I know Tia, like on the kickoff calls, I remember last year you were running the kickoff calls and you address that head on. You're like, all right, guys, look, welcome to the program. You guys are in. Now let's address, is it too good to be true? Yes, it's too good, but yes, it's true as well. It's like, yes,
and it would
you're
kind
getting
of
the
be like
both.
a
It is
secret.
crazy
Yeah.
good.
It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
and it's just like, no, this
now
is
that Ross and Boldeep are here. Okay, Tia, be honest with me. Is this so good to be true?
well, it is too good, and
I
yes,
think
it's
a lot
true,
of that
so
comes
worlds.
from, aside from, so when we put together the program, the main thing for me was I want to make sure everyone gets the best fucking service bureau deal possible, right? Especially starting out.
Yeah.
Like, as you grow, there's other benefits down the road, but off the bat, I don't want anyone to feel that they got ripped off or they got a bad deal, right? Because I know that our deal is the best out there. Just on the software merits alone, software package, all that stuff.
Yeah, just on the software, just on the service bureau software deal
What-
points, it is still the
what-
best deal.
Without the training,
that's core. Like aside from the training, that's core. But then, for us to go and sell, and the way that I felt, working directly with softwares with other bigger service bureaus, I was like, well, what good is having software if you don't know what the fuck to do with it, right? So, we're good at marketing, sales, all that stuff, and we've done it on our programs, on our service bureaus, all that stuff. So, why not put the only thing out there in existence that breaks down how to actually grow it? Because, dealing with sales reps in these different tax softwares that I've dealt with, when I got my first service bureau, sales guy, if you're ever watching this, you know who you are, right? You're working at another company right now. I still like you, but you couldn't help me grow my fucking business. You right? Like you can't. Sales reps in Georgia, in California, wherever they're based out of, that are direct software sellers, they don't know what it is to grow. They have a corporation behind them giving them a list, and they're just calling, and maybe they go out, do these trade shows, build really, like that's the old school way of doing it. They don't know how to help you actually grow a business, right? Because they're salaried employees for the most part. They've never built one. So when we're like, all right, well, great. What good is it just giving people software and a service bureau It's branded. It's nice. They may feel happy, but they need tools, training, guidance, resources on actually growing it, right? Because otherwise, what's the point, right? Otherwise, we're going to have a bunch of people that are making no money and they're not doing any products. And guess if you're not doing products, you're not making money, you're not happy. We're not making money either because we only make money on the products, right? Yeah, we make the money on the upfront sale for sure, but that pays the bills, but it's not what the motivation is, right? The motivation is, hey, oh, you guys are making a shit ton of money. Awesome, because we're just gonna make a little bit, right? And that kind of been the focus is when we launch this, let's provide them everything they need to be successful, not just the software, right? Because I couldn't call up my sales rep and say, hey, what do you think about this? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Fuck, you never did it.
Yeah. So good luck getting
Yeah.
growth strategies from the software
Good
direct.
luck, right? Because they'll show you how to set up an office and enroll in the bank. Great.
And and to be honest, I think that's where we, again, because I
Well,
was
you're a
this
customer. You
too.
paid money to be our community liaison, but you paid money to join the program to be a service
I
bureau.
did. I did. You guys charged me. Well, actually, sometimes I pay stuff without you even knowing about it. But I think the bigger aspect of it is the sexy part. Like, oh, my logo is on software. I'm the shit.
Mhm.
But then when you get it, you're like, damn, I'm still doing the same thing I was doing last year. Nothing changed. Like, I haven't grown more. And I think that's the part that we have to do better when we're vetting what we're getting into. Like, what besides that upfront, that feel good part, what actually, like the training and stuff, I'm not gonna lie, it don't feel good. It does not feel good to sit there and to have to go through it and to have Rose like, no, it's not scripted correct. It's Uncle Ross is coming out. Like, it doesn't feel good. But the parts that don't feel good are the parts that really help you grow the most.
Yeah.
Besides putting your logo on it, that's temporary. Okay, your 1,500, 2,000 is gone. Like, what comes next? And I think we do a great job at giving you that what comes next part.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the actual, like, okay, now let's actually go and grow the business. Because just, yeah, like you said, getting a logo slapped on the software, it's like, okay, great, warm and fuzzy, I've got my own software, but
Yeah.
now what? Like,
Yeah.
now what do you do? And that's where it cuts off. If you're going anywhere else, I mean, even with other service bureaus, yeah, there's a lot of other service bureaus out there that'll probably give you a better deal than if you go direct with the software. But again, they're just giving a deal on the software. But what happens afterwards? And that's where our program that literally completely is on its own trajectory, because there's
Yep.
nothing else. There's no other programs out there that actually go, okay, let's now dive into the business model. How are you actually going to grow your service bureau? How are you going to get people using your software? Where do you find them? How do you market to them? How do you sell them? How do you structure your deal so that it becomes a no-brainer and everyone, you have, a flood of customers wanting to buy your software versus going
Yep.
direct, right? How do you handle that objection when people are like, well, why don't I just get my software direct from it? We break all that down because that is a part of growing the service bureau business. You got to be able to handle that and actually have some strategies and training and guidance and support and mentorship to actually back you up so you can go out and be successful.
Yeah. And I'll repeat it. That sales rep in Georgia or California or wherever the fuck they are, can't help you there.
But once you go through our training, you can hire that guy.
Yeah.
To work
Yeah, you
in
can
your
hire that guy
sales
to
department.
Yep.
Have him sell your software.
Yep. It's levels to the game, levels to the
Yeah.
business.
No, that's not unheard of. There's sales reps from the banks, from softwares going and getting hired by service bureaus. That happens. They kind of float. A lot of times when they stand, they float around the industry. We've had conversations to bring some on, but we have yet to actually bring them on. I don't know. Our philosophy at our company is really probably just grow in-house, right? Because a lot of times, people come from these big corporations and they expect their nice 6-figure salaries, but at the end of the day, we have a marketing and sales engine, so it's not like we need them to bring us clients. We are serving up people, right? We serve up deals for our sales reps, right? And just like we show our service bureaus to do, right? How do you build a sales machine for your service bureau, right? How do you get people raising their hand wanting to do business with you consistently, right? So you're not sitting there trying to just cold call people and do what all these guys used to do back in the day. But yeah, so, it could go either way.
And so I do want to, again, like bring it in the drama. So we have clients, just to be honest, that say, I don't want your training. Like SBA, I do not want why do I have to sit through this? Why can't I just pay you? I don't want the training. Like, I don't know, because that's not my department.
Look, so there's a couple people that think, oh, I just want this, so I don't have to pay the $2,000 because I don't need all of it. Well, we have a one price, one package, and with always show people one price, one package. Now, there's some people that have a lot of experience in sales and already have stuff going on, and they're like, oh, I just need the deal you have because it's way better than what I'm paying right now, right? So that happens. So we'll make a little note, hey, let's not bother them too much about this stuff, but what's available to them, it's there for them, right? And then there's the flip side. The flip side of that too, Tia, is we got a lot of people that already are branded or a service bureau, but they want the
They just want the
training.
training.
And we're like, well, you can't have it. Your whole service bureau has to come with us because we don't do this shit for the $2,000. We're here for the volume. So you're not taking our stuff and going and doing whatever you want to do. Like, it's not for that. We're very transparent with where we want is volume. We don't care about anything else, you know? Well, I'm not like, in a lack of better word. Like, we want the volume, but so you're not, that's the flip side. We've had people come to us and then they've been moved over. Like, there's people that have gotten released from where they were. They're like, look, man, I love those guys. They're great. I'm like, yeah, they're good people. I know them. Yeah, they're great. But they'll tell you too that we could provide a better value on the training side to help you grow that they can't because they just don't. You know, they just don't offer that. So there's two sides to that coin there.
And so
Tia.
I know, right. And so I was going to say, I know that and I've actually talked to a couple of people who were here during the initial year and then came back and I'm like I've seen your name before or something. Oh yeah, I came, decided not to take the deal. Then I came back again. The price went up when I, came back. And I know this is for our group, but if there is someone in our community that has a friend or that knows someone that wants to get in on our community, but they cannot because they're currently in a contract with their
With the
the
conflicted
software.
contract. Yeah.
Yeah. How long do they have to wait to be able to take advantage of our
It depends on where they're coming from. In most cases, it's a year or two, but that doesn't mean we can't put them somewhere else in the meantime, right? Like, so it would be, all right, cool. We'll transition you to this other software for 2 years or a year, whatever that states. And then we could set you up on the other one again, right? I mean, there's different ways to work that. So that's just something that, they have to go through the process, book a call with our team, and we can dive into that.
Yeah.
All right.
On that note, too, something that we haven't mentioned before, but if people want to find out more,
we didn't
so,
even do that
I
on
mean,
the first
we
episode.
should, maybe there's people listening, be like, shit, these guys have got a good thing going. How do I find out more? We'll probably have it in like the show notes and stuff in the description, but you guys can head over to our website, servicebureauaccelerator.com, and just book in for one of our webinars. That's the fastest way. Don't just email us, jump on a webinar because we're going to break everything down and go over the entire program. And then you go through the process, fill an application, book a call with one of our team members, and they'll go over any other questions.
Yeah, the webinar is important. We'll definitely, the show notes, there will be links to all that stuff. I guess we got to set that up. We should mention that. Yeah, we'll probably, in the future episodes, we may have like some free giveaways. So we'll always be checking the show notes. But yeah, definitely the webinars are important. On the website, there's a way to register them. They are live, like really live, not fake live. Right now, they're currently all live. So if you can't attend,
you do the webinars, right?
I used to do all of them, but Ross has been doing the past couple. I did like only 2 this month because I just moved and then I didn't have my mic set up and I was off the computer for like 3 weeks. So Ross jumped in and started doing them. And I think people like them better. So you can keep doing them if you want. But yeah, we're working on all the ways to automate it a little bit more. But the reason why the webinar is important is because it's not just the software. It's not just like those things. We go over everything that's included in the program. And if you book a call with our team and you have no fucking clue what it is or anything,
we're gonna
tell you to go watch the webinar because it's not fair to our sales reps, right, to have to go and represent. Right? They have a certain amount of time for that call. Their job isn't to represent what everything is. It's to address any questions that you may have had, go over any specific nuance you may have with your current software deal, make sure it's a good fit for you. There's people we turn away. Sometimes it's not a good fit, right? Especially if you do know bank products, probably not a good place for you to be because you're not going to make any money if you don't do any bank products. And it's hard for you guys, for people that don't do bank products to go and try and convince other people to do them if you're not sold on them yourself, right? So it's very difficult. So it may not be a good fit. If you only deal with business clients, business returns, and that's the type of clientele you want to deal with, and that's the type of EROs you want to track, not the good place for you. Sorry, like it's just not.
Heavy on the good fit. Heavy on the good fit. I remember a couple of times on the takeoff calls, I'm like, Ross, this is not going in a good direction. He's jumping like, you're correct. You don't cut.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be an asshole, right? Like, look, we don't have
Yeah.
to like, and not in a bad, like, look, it's a community, right? You have access to everybody in the community. If you're an asshole
Yeah.
and you're always complaining and you don't want to do the work or just negative energy, it doesn't happen. Like, goodbye. Like, I'd rather just give you back your money. It's
This
not
is-
for you. That's just our philosophy.
Yeah.
I've never seen a company refund somebody so fast. Here today, gone tomorrow. They
We will
are
try to
not
catch
on
them.
the
Sometimes on the
roster.
webinar, like they'll present themselves pretty quick and we just ban them.
Yeah. Oh, I banned a good handful of people off the webinar. Because look, at the end of the day, and this is what we tell our team, like our sales reps who are taking those calls after the webinar. It's like, look, this is a community. This program, it's like, yeah, okay, we're selling a product. That's fair. But it's not for everyone. This is a service. We are here for the long term. We're working with all of our members in the SBA community. We got support tickets year round. Like we're working with people. We're helping them grow their business. It's a very like tight knit community. And we want to have, personal relationships with a lot of our members and actually like know who they are and help them succeed and help them grow their business. That's the reason why we're here. So if someone's coming in with a shitty attitude, it's like, nah, I'm not going to work with you. You're out of here. Like we're not going to deal with that stuff. If people are here and they're really wanting to grow this business, they want to like dive into the training and work with us and get support. I love jumping on calls with people who are actually out there working hard and growing their business. I'm a open book. It's like whatever help you need, I'm here to help you out and help you grow the business because that's what we're here to do. So yeah, attitude and bringing the right people into the program, into the group is a huge part of it as well.
Yeah, and of course, we're wrapping up this episode, but for direct sales, I know we talked about why you should not go direct. That's the biggest part. Like community. There is no community.
There's no other community. Yeah.
There is no community.
Yeah. Yeah. You're on your own. You're just kind of like you're a lone wolf, just kind of trying to figure it out. With no guidance, no support. Yeah. So that's great. Great way to wrap it up.
Awesome,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Getting the best service bureau deal, not only the points, but direct is not always the best.
All right.
fit.
Well, thanks everyone for being here for episode number 2. We'll see you on episode number 3.